Thank you. It's a deep honor to be here today, and I'm very grateful for being elected to fellow status. And I wanted to use my time today as my public response to the June survey sent out on our listserv by Jim Lichtenberg and Femina Varghese regarding the future of counseling psychology and where we see ourselves 20 years from now. And my own training and career arc serve as the basis for my comments because they were not in traditional counseling psychology areas. When I started graduate school at the University of Minnesota 29 years ago, I intended to do applied research in acute pain management using experimental paradigms, working with individuals functioning within the average normal range of psychosocial, I need my glasses. Just cannot do it without my glasses. Within the normal range of psychosocial adjustment, and avoiding working with very emotionally disturbed or physically ill children because I felt it would be too emotionally draining. Joida Hansen accepted me as her graduate student and essentially gave me carte blanche to create my own educational program. I completed a minor in neuroscience, and Joida also encouraged me to seek out a dissertation advisor who could mentor me in my research interests. Bruce Overmeyer agreed to take me on, and one of his research interests has been using animal models to explore environmental factors influencing physiological responses to stressors. And for 30 years, he has advocated for integrating research findings from animal models with applied research in humans. And I'm enormously grateful to Bruce for his time and his mentorship. He's a valued colleague and friend. I completed my pre-doctoral internship at Hennepin County Medical Center, primarily in adult inpatient psychiatry, and I'm very grateful for that training, particularly the mentoring I received from Ken Hampton. The first day I walked onto the primary adult inpatient unit, it felt immediately comfortable and comforting, and I knew somehow intuitively that I had come home. Upon graduation, I moved to San Diego County, and eventually my work and professional relationships led me to being hired in 2005 as the staff psychologist for County Child Welfare Services. And at the time, all I knew about child welfare was the hotline and how to make a hotline report as a mandated reporter. I was a total deer in the headlights, wondering what my background had to do with child abuse. And the relevance soon became clear, but I also had an incredibly steep learning curve. And basically now I find myself dealing daily with all the things I had vowed 20 years ago I wanted to avoid. On the other hand, my career has been the most rewarding, albeit challenging, that I could ever imagine. However, what my experience over the years and my observations of other counseling psychologist careers have really reaffirmed for me is that our values and our training transcends specific populations and settings. And it's our core training in psychology as a science and our values that combine to make counseling psychology unique and is the gift we bring to the table when we serve our communities, whether it's in research or in practice. And having primarily served in the public sector for over 20 years, what I can attest to from the vantage point of system-level observation is the enormous difference our strengths-based integrated perspective makes. Our values and perspective predate and are consistent with newer movements in public mental health, such as psychosocial rehabilitation, the consumer movement, and trauma-informed practice, because we recognize the potential for growth, resilience, and adaptive coping in each individual. This understanding represents a true paradigm shift in working with the most disenfranchised and distressed members of our community and leads to very different outcomes at the case level. And the effects of this just cannot be overestimated. Our communities desperately need us. So where do I think we should go from here? I would like to suggest that we embrace our unique strengths and embrace our potential for participating in multidisciplinary training and research. When we link what we bring uniquely across to other scientific disciplines, we strengthen the development of theory and practice because we're able to integrate convergent data across various lines of research. In my own work, and part of which deals with addressing the over-psychopathologizing of children who've been abused and neglected. I believe that training and educational efforts to promote accurate case conceptualization, assessment, and treatment for biopsychosocial and strength-based perspectives would be less effective if I didn't integrate not just the work from our colleagues in counseling psychology, but also the important work in coping and resilience by developmental psychologists such as Compass, Fisher, Greenberg, and Maston, McEwen's work in stress and adaptation, Mays, Granick, and colleagues' work in the neurophysiological effects of trauma on executive functioning and emotion dysregulation, Woos' research in individual differences in genetic responsivity to stressors, and Meyer and Watkins' research demonstrating learned control using a rat model. The point being is we recognize that our clients are part of their own ecological biopsychosocial system, and our work also is part of a larger scientific community, and we have an enormous gift to bring to that research and to contribute to uniting and integrating our work with others. And I think this appreciation for integration is growing, and we see it in the initiative for the APA Division in Interdisciplinary Psychology, and also by the involvement of counseling psychologists in promoting interdisciplinary work. And to the graduate students here today, I would really exhort you to avail yourselves of the educational opportunities afforded you in a university climate. It's just a rich opportunity for stretching in many different directions. And consider courses or a minor in other areas like neuroscience, developmental psychology, or epidemiology. Seek out opportunities to collaborate in experimental studies in physiological psych, learning and conditioning, or child development. No matter where your career choices or serendipity takes you, and I certainly have had a ton of that over the last 20 years, your grounding will serve you well and will help you better serve our communities in research and in practice. And finally, we know it's the relationships that matter in our lives, and it's important for me to recognize some of those who have enriched my life personally and professionally. First, my children, Josina and Matthew, who grew up with me being in school, first as an undergraduate and then as a graduate student. They have taught me immeasurably in so many ways and continue to challenge me and stretch me in my journey to be a better person and to fulfill the mandate of Tikkun Olam, repairing what is broken in the world, to leave it a better place. And Joida, I'm choking up over you. Joida Hansen, your unwavering support personally and across my career has been immeasurable. And your guidance and friendship have meant more to me than you know. And my dear colleagues since graduate school days, you know who you are. Naja Fuad, Beth Haverkamp, Jeff Prince, and Jane Swanson. We may only see each other at APA, but our annual dinner date is inviolable, right? And that mutual bond, affection, and support run deep, and always. And then I must honor two people who have passed, but who are always with me. The first is Dr. Ellen Stewart. Ellen and I met on our first day of graduate school. And there are really no words I can articulate what she meant to me. She was more than my best friend. She is my sister, my mother. She was the reparative relationship in my life who modeled compassion and unconditional acceptance. Her death left a hole in my heart that will never be repaired. I also want to honor my maternal uncle, Dr. William Seiden. My Uncle Bill was a loving, kind man. He received his doctorate in linguistics in 1963. His unpublished dissertation, as well as an earlier paper published as a graduate student, continued to be cited in the professional literature as recently as 2008. About a year after receiving his degree, my uncle experienced his first psychotic episode and was eventually diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. He was subjected to the treatments of the times, electroconvulsive therapy, and later Haldol. He was bright and struggled for independence, but he was viewed simply as a non-compliant, troublemaking schizophrenic, a frequent flyer. My uncle died prematurely, largely from medication side effects and the effects of living on the streets of LA for 10 years. What he wanted in life is what we all want: to live with dignity, to be respected, to live independently, to work, and to love someone and be loved back. He never achieved those fundamental and universal goals. Perhaps my uncle's life would have been different if he had had the opportunity to work with a counseling psychologist. Thank you.